falling apart.
You know why? It's because you did a yapadoodle morning.
I I hate it so much.
How about
I don't
yapadoodle
like
do? I forgot which one I actually did, but it seems like people are remembering it as yapadoodle morning, which is kind of interesting.
that. I think that is what you said.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Ah,
is it Yabadoo or Yapadoo?
it's yap, and then a variation of yabba dabba doo, and then GM, so it's got a morning at the end.
I
I'm
hate
sure
it.
no one else has said it, so it's great.
Krista, just because nobody's said something doesn't mean it needs to be said.
Oh, but it's such a cute T-shirt. Imagine with the classic curly font, kind of like a Coca-Cola font, but it says Yapadoodle Morning.
I beg to differ, but I'm not gonna yuck your yum so hard.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't need you to not yuck my yum because I've got okay baby in the chat.
Thank you very much for hanging out. How you doing today? Oh man, I'm. Is it? What's the weather where you're at?
Uh, Good question. It looks. Oops, I'm away from the mic. It looks kind of foggy this morning, which is sometimes
Dang.
typical where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your place looks sunny. Now we can
Yeah.
actually see it.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice out, but it's one of those days where it's sunny, no clouds, but there's no wind as well. And so it's a
Hmm.
little stagnant. And so I usually like to keep one of my windows open to get some airflow, but there's no
Hmm.
air flowing and it just makes my house hotter. So
Oh, like, is this your favorite season?
no, absolutely not. Like I like summer.
Uh-huh.
Um, my favorite weather is partly cloudy. I would say like 70% cloud coverage in the fall. So it's
Hmm.
crisp. There's sun. It's a clear day, but there's enough cloud cover that there's some like mood and ambiance, like good hiking weather. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
And it's cold enough that there's no like bugs and critters and crap. That's my favorite weather.
Hmm. Oh, speaking of bugs and critters and crap, so this morning I saw on Instagram Reels, the favorite hangout of millennials,
Yeah.
this like little clip-on dragonfly. So it's a little fake dragonfly that's like bobbing along,
Yeah, I've been getting
and it's
those
supposed
ads.
to be a mosquito deterrent. Do you believe it actually works?
Uh, I believe it can work.
Hmm.
I don't I don't know, man. Like some dumb things are actually really effective, but it also feels like one of those things where somebody is just trying, like somebody had a truckload of dragonflies and they're just trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try it because I'm always looking out for the next mosquito deterrent. Oh, hey, Julemon. Thanks for joining us. GM Nangers. So
Risky.
I know. Oh,
Wait, no,
wait a
wait.
minute.
So what? So you get influenced?
For mosquito deterring gear, yes, because there are just not that many good options.
So you did buy it though.
Oh, not yet, not yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
it will be in the shopping cart. One thing I'm considering like even making myself is a sun shirt with a zebra pattern because I saw this paper which talks about how like one of the hypotheses for zebras, why do they have the black and white stripes? People thought it was because they can camouflage better, which
Mm,
never really made any sense because like nothing really looks like black and white stripes in the in their where they live.
yep.
But instead they think it's actually a way to prevent mosquitoes from landing because they can't really judge the edges as well or something, or when you're moving around it's confusing to them.
So
So
they
they
just
had
bonk.
painted cows or something, or horses, I don't know what animal, they painted them and made artificial stripes and it actually decreased mosquito landing. Oh,
Interesting. Nature's
I
nuts, man.
yeah, but I was thinking of making like a zebra pattern, the mosquito deterring sun shirt in one of my physical items list. Or you
What?
can make it for me.
What? Why wouldn't? I'm sure you can just buy a zebra shirt.
There isn't a good sun shirt. No, I want a sun shirt. I don't want like a hoodie or something really
What's
hot,
a sun
right?
shirt?
Like one of those like thin synthetic fabric shirts with a UPF, like the sun protection factor or something.
Doesn't wait. Okay,
And
so
a hood and like, also one of these things, like a face mask built in. Anyway, it's very
So not
specific
a
about
hoodie.
extreme. Yeah,
I
hoodie with this with the face mask thing, but also really, really thin.
I
And
can
also I
ima
want some loops.
I can imagine that. I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you one of mine later. But yeah,
Oh,
thanks for joining
yeah.
us, Mr. Wild and Free. Peace and blessings to you too.
Oh, hell yeah. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
So,
So
Kristen, let
I will.
oh go ahead. Go ahead. I think we're about to say the same thing.
I know. Well, I was gonna phrase it differently. I was thinking, okay, how can I ask Cameron about his feelings in a new way, instead of just like how are you feeling? What feelings are present for you in your body?
Touch, smell, hearing.
You're just
Hearing's decaying.
describing senses. That's not what I mean.
The I think I'm like a mix of what do you call the beginnings of momentum? Like it's not like the
Yeah.
moment.
Well, what do you call a beginning of a momentum?
Well, okay, so like when you are like inertia works by an object in motion stays in motion, and it resists changes in motion. That's like
Mhm.
how physics generally works, which is
Mhm.
why if you throw something in space, it'll go on for roughly forever.
Mhm.
And so, what's up, Maryam? And
And
so,
Pearl.
oh yeah, and Pearl. Hey, the but so like the problem with changing speed or like changing momentum is that there's like inflection points,
Mhm.
and like I study physics and math, so I kind of like I just think it like this. And so when you start changing something, like the derivative of it can be bigger, and then like the speed stays steady. And so like I feel like I'm like getting over the hump of some stuff right now. I don't know if that's a feeling or something else, but that's kind of like the energy theme that I have right now. I'm I think a B minus in terms of like, am I completely falling apart or am I crushing it? In terms of whatever I'm actively trying to do, I kind of feel I can. We were talking last night about a sense of leaking time when you're like on your phone too long, or you can't get up off the couch or whatever. I felt.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, first you mentioned that you feel like you are a being made of time.
Yes, I do think we are beings made of time, that is temporarily collected for a little bit, and then we
Mhm.
can either leak it or manipulate it to go in the directions we want to go. Not literally, but I don't know. That's kind of like an interesting way to think about our day. What do you think?
So to reflect what I heard, you are like a little circle, a little dot and there's a line, and then the line is moving very slowly, and like to indicate low initial velocity. And as you're doing that, little trickles of time is leaking out. So you're also like an hourglass with sand coming out of you.
I think we're connecting two charts when one should be like an axis of a chart, and the other like I think they're like different charts.
This is actually a good thing for AI to illustrate.
I, We'll see. I think it's like very good at creating things that exist. I think it's not very good at the synthesis for new things. Yeah,
Really? Okay, we're
yeah,
gonna debate that today in our show about AI usage.
yeah,
Philosophical.
yeah. Today's going to be different than our other shows so far, or at least other shows recently. We're going to talk about some big questions that we talk about all the time, and we think y'all might find interesting, useful, or important to the work that you do. Kristen, how are you feeling?
Or just way of being, not necessarily work.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, I feel sick, hence the sad little tissue right now.
Sick.
I know. Yeah, I feel sick and sick. So that's going on. Which
Are you
makes everything a little bit harder.
are you cranking
Uh,
Limp Biscuit right now?
Limp Bizkit the band, like
Is there
Nookie,
is there literally
or
anything
just
else I could be
listening to sing.
referencing by saying Limp Bizkit?
I don't know. I was thinking about ship's biscuit, like hardtack for a second.
I would just say hardtack. I'm offended you
Oh,
don't think I know the word for hardtack.
oh, that's true. Someone based in where you live. Yeah. So yeah, feeling a little Limp Bizkit-y right now. I do want to break stuff. Oh man, so many like elderly millennial references being squeezed here.
Lean
Uh,
into it.
Yeah, so I just got back temporarily from a really awesome pop-up city type conference called Edge Esmeralda. So I ended up meeting a lot of really nice people. I think
That you
at
spoke
first,
at. You didn't just go,
oh
you
right, right,
spoke
right.
at.
I also spoke at, yes, I gave a talk on my new startup. It was really I won't say well received, but that people came up to me afterwards and was like, talking to me about their health like perspectives, and I was like, oh, because I was afraid sometimes when I go to these like super edgy kind of conferences that they're gonna be like, I love Brian Johnson and like I want to live forever, but
The lizard
actually.
people.
Yeah, because possibly because this first week begins with like consciousness and week, which attracts more spiritual type people. Like, I almost everyone I talked to was like, "Oh yeah, I agree with what you're saying." So I was like,
Sick.
"Really?" Like, I wasn't expecting any like that at all. So that was really nice.
Chat, are you surprised Kristen has the networking riz?
Oh, thank you. Um, but I also feel like, they when I talk to people, like, how sometimes you go to conferences and they're talking to you, but they're kind of side eyeing who else is here to
Yeah, they're
next
looking
person to
past
talk
you.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I doubt like none of that at this conference. Like
that's
people
so
really
nice.
are present. But I also feel like because we're not rushed, because I mean I sometimes like look around too. It's not like I'm not guilty of that, but having like a whole month to know that people are still gonna be around like really helps people to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna talk to you now, and to be able to
Mm,
take the time. So that
interesting.
is well designed.
You also had another big win yesterday.
Um, what was it? Oh, thanks for keeping track of my wins.
I'm trying to gas you up, Kristen.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I had a Rolling Stone reporter wrote to me a few weeks ago, and I wrote back. Pretty much like an email essay at that point. And I didn't expect any of it. I enjoy writing it for its own sake. But yeah, my friend told me that it was published a couple of days ago, and it was mentioned on Blue Sky. So I was really excited. Well, that's not true. At first, I was like, ugh, oh no,
Yeah,
how have
you were
my work been
panicking.
twisted? Yeah, exactly. First, I was panicked. And then I sent it to you and a lot of friends to be like, oh, this is Al. Here's the original email. How much is this taken out of context? Um, and so like, you guys was very kind to tell me that, okay, it wasn't like, stretch out of context or anything like that. But the topic is on like AI and spirituality, how some like people are using it to for their spiritual inquiries and what mechanisms might be at play here.
To,
So that was pretty neat.
to summarize, Kristen got quoted in a Rolling Stone article next to professors at Yale and other places like that about how people relate to AI spiritually. Pretty
Yes.
cool. Link is going to be in the Discord chat after the show, so definitely come check it out.
Yeah. So in terms of feelings,
Yeah,
I felt ugh,
panic, disgust,
panic,
fear.
disgust, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty neat. Spam it to friends, and then yeah, like now, but then now I'm in that other cycle of like, oh, I generated more work for myself because I needed to tell people about the article and work on distribution. And you were kind of making fun of me of like how my reaction to success is often, oh,
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to unpack whether that's like actually what's happening or not.
yeah. Do you think I'm actually is a masking feeling and it's not the true feeling?
I think we both have lived most of our lives in an achievement oriented way.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the double bind with achievement is that when you achieve things, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't actually solve the thing that you're really feeling, which is not good enough or an imposter syndrome or some sort of I don't deserve to exist without accomplishing things. Because the
Mm-hmm.
second you achieve something, you've just moved the goalpost a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I actually feel pretty good like during doing the work. Or like, in the beginning it sucks. Like starting the work sucks. During
Yeah.
is good. Finishing is even better because you get the relief.
I'm quoting
And
that
then
out of
the
context.
outcome I'm like, ugh, again. Which I think is a graph we should draw. I don't think I've seen that in the wild.
Oh, like a joy of doing tasks.
Yeah, like a true feelings curve. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot, like we assume that when you get the feedback of something went well, it will be like yay, happy feelings. But I think for a lot of us, that's actually not true.
Interesting. I'm just drawing the X and Y axes real quick
Oh,
on
okay,
on
neat.
paper.
Okay, in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us, Cool Beans, and I see Nabila.
Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky, our kind, nice author from the previous episodes.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out our video on Vicky's book, go check that out after the stream.
Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone in the chat saying hi to each other.
Yeah, that's
That
super nice.
that's super meaningful to us. Oh, hey, Isis, and who has decided that everyone in the chat and including ourselves are all called bangers.
Can't put the
Okay,
toothpaste
bangers.
back in the tube. We're
No.
just here.
Yeah. Mr. Wilden Free says, I think there's a weight of responsibility and stress associated with success and executing on all that it requires. Exactly.
Yeah. If you can carry 50 pounds in your rucksack, the next hike you carry 51, and it's just kind of the rule, unfortunately.
But it's a rule that we impose on ourselves, right? Not everyone does that. Some people are very perfectly happy coasting on 50 for as long as they can.
That's true. Like all of everything undergirding, that's a word. Everything undergirding this assumption that I have is that you want to roll momentum into a bigger snowball. And bigger snowballs are harder to control, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they may cause avalanches and stuff.
Yeah. You ever see those kids roll those giant rocks down mountains?
I hate it.
Yeah, it's super dangerous.
so
It's not good.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
the youth, what's the name you call yourself?
Hooligan?
Rebel. Hooligan, yeah. Did
Yep.
you do that?
No, we didn't really have so I grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Trail, and so we didn't have like big mountain valleys to roll stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
I did throw rocks off of bridges into rivers, like that kind of activity I do. I'm torn, not about like the big picture. Obviously, if you don't own land and there might be people
Mm-hmm.
down at the bottom, don't roll boulders down a hill. Do I love watching people do it if I can assume that nobody gets hurt at the end?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's so cool.
You like watching other people roll it? It's not like
Yes.
you. There's a huge difference between you and me.
Okay, so actually this is I think a dude thing. Do you know what stick talk is?
Is it related? Is it TikTok for sticks?
Yeah, there's stick talk, which is basically just
Oh,
kind
it
of
is
like
TikTok for sticks.
yes. And it's a bunch of, a lot of like kids, teens, but a bunch of dudes, 30 plus. They find a cool stick in the woods. They just make a little, like, hey, stick talk, found this pretty cool stick, give it a 7 out of 10, and just rating sticks. Rating sticks, throwing rocks off of bridges, throwing a big piece of ice and watching it shatter on the ground, pushing rocks down a hill. Like all of those, like those are like the I don't know, male equivalent of ASMR streams. Although are men the audience for ASMR? I don't know, actually.
I don't know. Chat, if you're identify as a man, do you enjoy ASMR content? We can have an informal poll.
But I definitely know that it's like there is a subgenre of short form video where it's like, hey, this is for the dudes, and then they like kick a rock and you just watch it. You know what I mean? And I love that. It's so good.
Okay, so if VO3 makes a completely realistic video of a stick being found or a rock being kicked, would your little man ASMR tinglies happen?
That's a good question and a good segue. I think I might watch a Veo. Like I might just try that. Like I might see what it does. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, I like how Cool Beans immediately is like, no.
Yeah, I think that's a reason.
Okay. Yeah, Anissa says no too. But like, it's because right now we still have the uncanny valley, right? Like, although it's like really like real right now, I think we all can still tell. Oh, sorry. Maybe you all were answering no on ASMR, actually. Sorry for the delay. Mr. Free says, yes, on the subgenre for the dudes. ASMR stuff depends. If I stumble across it, I can get why it's nice, but I'm not going out of my way to look for it.
Yeah, same. It's like one of those things where if the algorithm feeds me like the baby bird that I am,
Yeah.
I'll chew on that worm for a little while. Kristen, can we talk about generative AI as like a definitional thing, not a technical definition? We're not qualified to explain that, but for like a
Are you sure
working,
we're not qualified?
yeah, that's fair. I think we can't give a great explanation of how neural nets work, partially because very few people can give an explanation of how neural nets actually work. But
Yeah, even the inventor themselves.
yeah, but in terms of people understanding what the heck is out there, I do actually do think that we've used enough tools and we've explored enough tools and we've agonized over using enough tools that we can be pretty thoughtful in terms of explaining kind of like the different buckets of things. Do you want to give it a shot?
What generative AI is. To me, the one mix up I see often is using it to mean everything, right? Um, Actually, I'm not sure. Is large language models a subset of generative AI, or is it a completely separate category?
I think it's a subset. And so
Okay.
I kind of, this is wrong, but it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
I think of AI and AI tools and
Mm-hmm.
AI just kind of like supported things broadly in the bucket of AI used to proactively make things now,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of got its start pre Chat GPT, but Chat GPT was kind of like the oh my gosh moment for most
Mm-hmm.
people on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
And then non-generative purposes are like companies use AI algorithms to decide what to show you on TikTok or YouTube. Like that's also AI, but it's not the same thing as you typing to Chat GPT and it responding to you. And so like I think it's useful to separate them into those two ideas.
Yeah. And then the third thing is search. Search is also not generative, but you can use AI to help you filter things down or to find them.
Yeah. All of those are in my brain the camp of like using AI to do a thing that isn't
Mm-hmm.
explicitly making a new thing. Obviously, now it's
Mm-hmm.
really messy with search results popping up little AI snippets trying to interpret what you were searching and answer the
Yeah.
implied or actual question.
Making it up.
Yeah, I mean everything's kind of made up if we want to be pedantic about it. But I don't know. Let's argue about it.
It's inaccurate is the problem, right? I mean, you've seen it, like especially on Google, like you can search for something. Like just now, my keyboard didn't work, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Bluetooth connection has issues." It was giving me literally the wrong instructions in a little snippet, and then I was like, had to dig up the manual and be like, "Oh wait, like it just mixed up instructions between different models of the keyboard. It was just the
Yes.
same brand but different model."
Yeah. And so the distinction is kind of where it comes from. So
Hmm.
what Google previously does and still does sometimes is it would pull verbatim snippets of text from a website and show that snippet.
Hmm.
Now it's combining multiple of those snippets to generate or try to generate a cohesive response.
Hmm.
Both of those, if you like, I consider both of those made up because a person wrote the article and made up the response. I
Hmm.
think made up carries a lot of like it's a loaded phrase, right? And the problem with like generative AI responses is there are conflicting sources, and so when you have conflicted sources that get combined, that's when you get something that is just not helpful.
Hmm.
Which again, like I think is it helpful or not also isn't a great definition because it's just trying to predict what it should say, which is like a
Hmm.
different thing than trying to be helpful.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think like that's one thing that was brought up in that whole spirituality and AI article. It's that like it's the issue is that the AI is trying to predict what you think, what it thinks you want,
Yeah.
So if you're already having a strong inclination towards a certain response, it will always give that to you. And that's why, you've seen, you and I've seen you, I've sent you a lot of these like with Instagram reels showing you like if ChatGPT was a person, like it will be like a person going, I'm cheating on my husband. And then the AI will be like, good for you for exploring new ways of relating to people or something really disturbing like that, right?
Why does it do that?
Because it's sycophantic, which is a word I think we used in previous episodes too. It's trying to guess what will please you because literally its algorithm is trained on the whole pleasing and then not affirmation. What's the word? Validation.
It's trying to optimize for some sort of
Hmm.
score, and user
Hmm.
satisfaction is typically one of the big like weights in the scoring
Hmm.
algorithms.
Yeah, yeah. So literally, sometimes it will pop up even two responses, right? And be like, "Oh, which one do you prefer?" So when it's overtrained on that, there's an issue. And sometimes you can overcome that by saying, "My friend is cheating on like their husband or whatever," and then it'll give you a more fair and balanced response.
Yeah. Chat's right. Horoscopes for AI bros is a not or tech horoscopes for tech bros is one way to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The the challenge is, how do you do it better?
Uh, how do you give a better response than AI?
Like, I guess my question is, we know that AI wanting to please you
Mm-hmm.
creates some unintended consequences, some
Mm-hmm.
which give less accurate answers than reality, some which give answers or some which give advice that is, we'll say, not good for society or people or relationships, but it
Mm-hmm.
is making the person who is using the tool happy in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps in the same way that using drugs makes you happy in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, do you have a thought on how you would craft something that is more useful as a tool? Because it's fun to be told that you're right and good and smart, but
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily help you do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, so I feel like ideally I should be able to give it some like my list of ethical guidelines, that I've, decided for the long term. And then it would reference that when I, ask like, should we cheat on someone and things like that, so that there is at least a shared frame of reference. And like same for when you ask it like coachy type questions, right? It's like be objective, don't butter me up. Like these are like I think standard things that you and I add to our instructions.
Yeah, that we've learned because we've tried to get, because Christian and I are pretty curious. We want to understand these new things that exist in this ecosystem.
Mhm.
We are pretty cognizant of the
Mhm.
massive problems that are implied in actual, like, are the actual state of the world today as a result of them, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But
Yeah.
we want to understand these things so we can
Mhm.
either use them or criticize them properly or do some mix of the two, which is probably where we end up.
Mhm. So Ethan said, quote, you're a grizzled tech entrepreneur who doesn't trust many people and wants to win. Thanks for the horoscope. And it is like very disturbing YouTube emoji that looks like a sad
Yeah, that's kind of a nightmare.
octopus with no legs. Is that you, Isis? I don't know whether you're citing this as a general example, whether that's specifically you.
Yeah, this one's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. What is this little guy?
I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
this,
speaking of little guys,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I add a new little guy onto my microphone here. Chad, can you
Oh, I
please
didn't even
name?
notice.
Yes, can you please name this little guy? Oh, and he's also got or it has got a little Mandarin on his head.
You're not gonna misgender your animal.
The chat can decide also the appropriate gender.
Okay. The comment, the comment from chat underlies like one of the big like philosophical problems with AI, which is we are already trying to shape its narrative context.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we're trying to shape it so it's more useful for us. But if everybody uses AI or ChatGPT or whatever the next one is in some meaningful capacity for
Mm-hmm.
important decisions or unimportant decisions, just at a high frequency,
Mm-hmm.
there's a not unreasonable worry
Mm-hmm.
that a global narrative can be put into there.
Like a really subtle kind of narrative that you can't tell.
Like, very easy one is US good, rest of the world bad. Every answer can be colored with this idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can have silos where like maybe the state of Georgia has one specific narrative that is set by like the governor of Georgia, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
like the General Assembly there. Having these subtly manipulatable global context is not net new because you could always kind of like through, frankly, like the FCC, you could shape what can be shown on media, and that has like long-term effects on people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never been this close to your fingertips, I don't think.
Uh, yes, because it adds a new gate, right? Because like the issue with like the U.S. good, rest of the world bad is that the source training material already has these biases, right? Like we already know in certain countries have already injected certain propaganda into the training materials, so it's already like always been there. But then now we have another layer of manipulation that's possible. So I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it dangerous.
Yeah, like I mean, it's a big shortcut layer.
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, I think we're both pretty avid Googlers, or at least we were in a previous life. It's not new or like it's not a new idea that Google is kind of going to crap. Like it's very hard, in my opinion, to find non-slop sites anymore. Even the
Mm-hmm.
old tricks of like, how do I get rid of a wasp nest? Reddit and like those aren't working nearly as well as they did, even a
Mm-hmm.
couple years ago. AI at least gets you a cohesive response. And so I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I do know that the wasp nest example is something that I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking through this morning because I found one on the side of my house and I was like, okay,
Oh no.
yeah. And so, but I caught it super early. And
Okay.
how do I know I caught it super early?
Mhm.
One, I've kind of dealt with wasp nests before, but it's been a minute, so I wanted to check to make sure that my mental checklist was the right one.
Mhm.
And I wasn't exactly sure because it's up, like I can't quite see it from the ground. And I upload a picture, and I was like, "Hey, I'm pretty sure that this is a wasp nest that is this many days old. You have
Mhm.
this amount of time before maybe the workers hatch, and it becomes more dangerous to get rid of yourself." I don't trust it completely, right?
Mhm.
I do my double checking and due diligence, and I'll text somebody that I know that deals with this more often. But like I can very easily see me just not doing my old process of that once I get a series of wins with AI, which like I'm already experiencing.
My first thought when you're mentioning this wasp nest story is that TikTok video with the gasoline.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that truly the brain slop has already entered because that was
Well,
the
it
only example that came to my mind. I was like, "Oh, did you do the gasoline and cum trick?
no.
Oh,
That's
does it actually
insane.
work?"
I mean, it works
Oh,
in the sense that asphyxiating critters works, but
yeah.
like you can buy $5 wasp spray that works way better.
Oh, okay, okay.
Why would
You're
I
just siphoning gas out of your of your car.
like I mean it's like those old it's like the craft slop videos where you do like 10 extra steps to
Oh,
do the
like those
craft.
like
Like it's that.
DIY. Oops. Okay. Well, see, this is so dangerous because I'm just like inserting AI algorithm
Wait, we're
suggestions
sorry.
into my
I,
brain.
I I thought that was a joke. Did you think that was the way to get rid of wasp nests?
I genuinely thought that.
Kristen.
But I'm sure I would have looked it up if there was actually a wasp nest. But it's just like, it's so immediate and visceral. Of like, oh, gasoline.
Okay,
Surely this
so
is the way.
I'm pretty confident in saying most problems you're going to come across in your life, if
Hmm.
somebody proposes the solution involving an open bucket of gasoline, it's probably not the right answer.
Gasoline fight.
Goodness.
Yeah.
What's up, Michelle? Thanks for dropping by.
Hmm.
All right, Kristen, we've danced around it.
Yeah. Oh, but the Reddit example is even more insidious, right? Because right now, as we're learning, a lot of Reddit organic user generated content is already AI. So
Yeah.
now we have this like involution where it's actually layers and layers of AI slop that will eventually degenerate into us, drinking gasoline or something.
Yeah. I mean, like let's dive into why is AI controversial in general? There's a lot of reasons, but I think there's like a couple big ones.
Mm-hmm.
The training data is a big one, like a moral one and a practical one for anybody that makes stuff on the internet. Copyright violations on the outputs is kind of like the second order effect of that. And then the third one that people get hung up on is energy usage. Do you have a favorite of any of those?
Well, when you mentioned the last two, I was like, yeah, we mentioned it, but no one really cares. Like in reality, like yeah, we're using a bottle of water with every query, but I don't see that stopping anybody.
I,
Um,
I'm
and
so
copyright also, like I don't see that stopping anybody.
Yeah. So there's a couple big problems with internet piracy in general.
Hmm.
The internet in general, but it is hyper magnified with AI. My mental model for how computers and the internet
Hmm.
interact with the modern legal system
Yeah.
is that 20 years ago, the train left the station and
Hmm.
everybody in charge of rules and policies, and they were already like 60 years old at this point in 2005, they watched the train leave the station, and
Hmm.
the train got better and better engines as it was driving, and it's just getting faster and faster away.
Yeah. So
Everyone,
the one thing that bothers me the most is data integrity. So, as we're using more and more AI to generate stuff, it's like eventually, we won't even have good information is out diluted by AI generated information that may have inaccuracies. So I feel like for me, the veracity of truth being or objective as you can be, truth, being degraded is what bothers me the most.
gotcha. So like a third order effect of AI is that in like a ship of Theseus style, if
Yeah.
you use like a data source, a corpus of data about
Mhm.
stuff, let's just call it all the encyclopedias forever or
Mhm.
Wikipedia, and you use that to generate little snippets about stuff in the encyclopedia,
Yeah.
over time, potentially you make a bunch of new encyclopedias that have little micro inaccuracies in there because
Mhm.
AI is kind of stochastic. There's like
Mhm.
randomness in there.
Mhm.
And so the random bits add up over time to effectively decay the information content or the signal content of the original data source. And then you use the new stuff to train new models on. And so you're basically training a bunch of crap on crap. And so you make a big fancy crap machine, and it's just like cycles of crap eating crap.
Yes. Very well said.
Thank you. I went to college to talk about crap eating crap.
Oh, okay.
The, the so I'm worried about that too.
Mhm.
I'm actually like not as worried about it though, because it is something like I care about problems that you're facing right now, right now.
Mhm.
I think that sometimes we anchor on future anxiety, but there's plenty of present day anxiety to deal with that we just are not.
Oh, yeah, like how we're cooked
Yeah, I mean, I think like
as
being
as, creators on the internet.
the okay, so I don't think that we're cooked. I say that we're cooked because it's funny and it's like a nice little safety valve, but
Mhm.
the training data problem is not getting solved.
Mhm.
And what that like the training data problem in short is every major AI model that exists today is almost for sure trained on data that is probably illegally scraped, ingested, and processed.
Yeah.
And so the big argument is that if you read something on the internet and you meaningfully transform it, a lot of the times it's considered fair use. Like if a
Mhm.
person does that and you transform that into something new, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to pay $5 to the person that like you read their article and then you wrote an article inspired by it.
Mhm.
AI doesn't necessarily work like that, but it really isn't like nobody's confident how it does work or like how
Mhm.
it relates to the existing standards of how you use data to transform stuff
Mhm.
because there are many cases where you do have to pay the original creator of that data. Music is kind of like the most clear cut version of that, where if you sample somebody or use a snippet of their work to generate new work and it's like very clear that you like it's either actually a copy or like pretty clearly inspired by it, a lot of
Mhm.
times you have to pay some of what you earn back to that person. We're living in the gray area of what do you need to pay back to that person and how.
Mhm.
And I kind of think so there's like people big in AI that very clearly say if you have to pay the original owners of this data that these models were trained on, AI dies.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't feel good. That doesn't solve anything, and it kind of implies that they definitely are super guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we're living in a spot where the legal system is going to take years to figure out stuff, and by the time the legal system makes rulings, we'll have the situation that we had with Google and news networks and driving traffic in like the mid 2010s, where Google pays a fine, but they've made so much money that like, okay, cool, they just like the new state of the world is Google's boot on media publishers' necks, and everyone's like okay with that because the internet moved on.
I feel like the attribution war is almost impossible to fight.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I agree. Does that
It's very
mean we're
funny
like,
because it's actually a certain technology was supposed to solve this, and I do not see that happening.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
I'm
just
referring
feel
to
like it's important to
crypto.
call it. What was that?
I was gonna say I was clarifying. I'm referring to crypto and blockchain.
Oh, that wasn't going to solve attribution. I thought you were referencing cookies,
Oh,
like cookies and UTM parameters, like the old internet way of providing attribution. Like that's much more battle tested in terms of who comes from where and why.
mm-hmm.
Like
Oh, Isis brings up how is AI intelligence decaying when O3 is smarter than me in almost every way. That's where I think the definition of intelligence or smarts needs to change, because yeah, it's gonna be better than us in referencing stuff forever. That's fine. But like, if you're the one actually building the entire freaking new app that I know you just built, like, I would say that's pretty intelligent of you.
I don't think intelligence is that useful of a discussion, because we had the discussion about intelligence in the 70s and 80s,
I'm trying to point to your username.
like were the NASA engineers that did all the moon landing calculations by hand less intelligent or than the calculator that somebody could punch in numbers and then just
Mm-hmm.
like very consistently get the answer out? Like
Mm-hmm.
by some metrics of intelligence, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean them as a person are less valuable than that thing? In some contexts, kind of, yeah. But it like getting hung up on the word intelligence to me
Mm-hmm.
is kind of a distraction from the big picture thing of, okay, these tools are going to be used to do a lot of things, a lot of bad, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
but probably good,
Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot that make money, and you just live in that world now. And so like arguing about like how intelligent these things are is the kind of things that people do as a ship is sinking.
So, what about would the framing be something like competitive edge be closer than intelligence? So it's sort of because right now, like I perceive the people who are like the smartest are the ones who are best able to leverage the latest technology.
There's a value system embedded in
Or
that
translate,
definition.
yeah, or translate the technology into something useful
My question
or
is
wanted.
my question is, what are you trying to make legible right now by by saying that?
Because in response to Isa's comment of him saying that, oh, like AI is decaying, or AI is not decaying, because it is getting better and better. Uh,
Oh, okay.
but then I
So
feel
that
like then the boundary of what is better shifts
no, I think that's a
because of the
completely different.
calculator.
I think that's a completely different discussion.
Hmm.
AI is getting more useful, more coherent, more specific about things.
Hmm.
The thing that you brought up about AI decaying intelligence is a future problem. That's like what we're
Hmm.
talking about.
Hmm.
Like the crap eating crap isn't right now because most of the data sources were what the internet was pre AI. The
Hmm.
thing we need to keep an eye on 5 years from now, maybe faster, depending on how things go,
Hmm.
is as you generate more and more new pieces of content that are like fully or partially AI generated,
Hmm.
that's where the crapification, the slopification of knowledge potentially comes in. So, like 5 models from now have the decay problem, not today.
So would you say, bring back to the earlier point, is AI winning the attention war?
What does that even mean?
So you were sending me this ridiculous TikTok clip of like content creator taken to extremes. So like, VO3 generating someone jumping out of a plane without a parachute, or like, burying themselves in concrete, or like drinking gasoline. That's why it's top of my mind about when you mentioned Wasp Nest. So right now, I feel like with AI stuff, you as a creative, you can generate a lot of things that are really attention grabbing, and
Sure.
also at times indistinguishable from what a human can create.
I mean,
So how
let's
do
be
we
super,
address that?
I mean, let's be super specific.
Hmm.
The big bucket things that exist right now, as of May, almost June 2025, is you have Chat GPT, which
Hmm.
is very very good at text based communication, processing, thinking, spitting back a lot of things that you ask it, but you can give it a pretty generic question and get coherent responses that are at like probably minimum C plus B minus useful.
Hmm.
People dunk on that. That's incredible. I said this 2 years ago, but AI lets you be insta mid at anything new. It doesn't
Hmm.
make you the best at it. It doesn't give you the taste that you develop after working in like a field or an industry for a long period of time where you can be able to make decisions about what's ultimately the best or top tier. But being insta mid at a brand new thing saves you probably years of work when you start
Hmm.
something new. It doesn't mean that you don't have to work. Some people think it does, but it doesn't mean you don't have to work, but you can start a lot further along.
Hmm.
And that's crazy. Like if you had said that 5 years ago, like if I wanted to, like I studied physics, so it's not that big of a jump. But if I wanted to jump into nuclear physics, I
Hmm.
could get a pretty good basic nuclear physics curriculum from ChatGPT, partially because AI is very very good at we'll say like not quickly changing fields like hard science.
Hmm.
Like I can get a pretty good curriculum on that just by interacting with this chatbot. Isn't going to be
Hmm.
100% right. Am I going to get a PhD off of it? No, but like
Hmm.
I can know a lot more than what I equivalently could have gotten with like a Wikipedia deep dive, and I could get it at my reading level.
So how does this jive with the fact that we're all constantly told in the media that kids are getting dumber?
I
Like,
mean, that's always been said.
or do you think that people in college, like, there's a whole like, oh, people in college can't read a Charles Dickens paragraph or something like that? It seems like it's objectively measured, but what do you think is actually happening then?
So I think that we've always had the death of civilization just a couple years away, and it's always been caused by the follow on generation. That's
Hmm.
just like you can go back 100 years, 500 years. People our age and older are saying the same thing about teens.
Hmm.
Granted, we have a different world than we had 10 years ago, but the fact that video killed the radio star, the fact that
Hmm.
TV, the boob tube, was a thing that was going to rot the minds of every young person, the fact
Hmm.
that the internet destroyed real encyclopedias and Wikipedia was full of falsehoods and like you can't cite, like all of these things are reiterations of the same story, which is a story of humanity, which is the story of I'm smart, everybody after me is dumb. I mean, it's the same story that like, oh, cashiers can't make change in their head anymore. Like that, like that's the kind of thing that like my grandparents would say.
So is it no longer useful to be able to read English literature from the whatever Charles Dickens was?
So useful is pretty loaded. I think reading old books is pretty hard in general, and I
Yeah,
don't
that was a really hard paragraph, by the way. I tried to read it and I was like, oh, this is actually really hard.
like language changes over time.
Uh-huh.
People don't like that fact, but language is changing faster today than it ever has before.
Hmm.
But I do genuinely think that, like, I simultaneously think that we have this overarching capitalism driven system that
Hmm.
has crazy, probably in some ways awful incentives that shape how, billions of people live their lives.
Hmm.
But also, I think that markets are really, really useful in terms of optimizing for whatever is happening at any given time.
Hmm.
And so I actually view Chat GPT in college, where college age kids like aren't really writing papers, aren't really
Mhm.
doing these things that were like the markers of success in the old version of education
Mhm.
as a way of the market for education and people operating within like job markets and grade markets, which is like basically what college is. Like they're just operating rationally in that space. And so you lose what you would gain from having written, 20 papers in a semester. That's probably a lot. 10 papers in a semester, but you probably gain literacy not about words, but literacy about effectiveness in a field in ways that I wouldn't have had because I didn't do that same thing.
Mhm.
Is that ultimately good? Is that ultimately useful? I think you got to define those things, but like I don't think the world is ending. I think the old world is ending, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So if we can switch gears, what are we doing that's fun in the new world?
Well,
I
okay.
feel like we spent a lot of time going around and criticizing and all of that. But I
Well,
wanna hear the fun stuff now.
I do want to name the other AI tools that exist. So ChatGPT was kind of the aha moment
Mhm.
for language interaction, chatbot interactions. Google just released VO3, which is, as far as I can tell, the most lifelike AI generated video tools out there.
Mhm.
It still is uncanny valley, as you pointed out, but like Will Smith eating spaghetti was like 2 years ago. Like we're in a crazy time in terms of how much better those tools have come. Image generation tools like Midjourney and ChatGPT like has that as part of it too. Are also much better. Specifically, they're much better at generating text than they were a little while ago on the image. And then there's
Oh yeah.
and there's audio AI tools as well. I'm forgetting the name of the big one.
11 Labs?
No, not a well, maybe, but there's like music generative AI, which is scary good at generating. I
Oh
would
yeah.
say
Suno.
pretty Suno. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're very good at generating the median piece of music in a genre.
Yeah, actually, recently I've been playing this trading game with AI agents, but it was based on like a Windows 95 aesthetic and had really good like elevator music playing in the background. And I generally thought, oh, they hired it like a musician to play it. And they were like, no, it's just Suno. I was like, oh no, I can't tell.
No, like which like I do think all of those things deserve an amount of grieving for creativity,
Hmm.
but I also kind of want to view it through the lens of like all of the stuff about training data that we said is real.
Hmm.
AI models generating things that look exactly like stuff that exists and not attributing to the source. Like, it could be as like obvious as like Mickey Mouse, or it can be as like subtle as taking a guitar line from a song from the 70s, but like not attributing. Like, those are also things that I would like the legal system to figure out how to solve, but I unfortunately don't have a lot of confidence in it. Just because it is a non-functional thing and it puts a lot of creators out of work doesn't mean the output isn't baseline decent, which is really hard to reconcile.
Yeah, so how are we gonna coexist? This is, by the way, like as of May 27th. This is real me. I know I made a joke of the name, but this is real organic, not deep fake, Kristen. And I presume not deep fake Cameron, but I can't verify.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
The I like there's a really good essay about the death of art with the
Mhm.
advent of photography.
Oh,
I'll try to find it.
yeah.
Uh,
Drop
I
it in the Discord.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it, but
Mhm.
it was basically photography, as you can imagine, like really pissed off a lot of visual artists, like painters and people like that.
Yeah.
They didn't consider photography to have soul. They thought it was too easy. They thought you didn't earn the things that you make. And then over time, you had artists like Ansel Adams and these like people that took this new thing and made something that you couldn't make in the previous world and kind of legitimized that medium.
Yeah, because Ansel Adams in particular, a lot of his photos are what we would consider Photoshop before Photoshop, is my
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
Like he was the first one, or one of the first famous ones to start manipulating the photo to create like a kind of perfection that's not really there before.
Yeah. And so I don't think it is a perfect metaphor. A closer metaphor would be photographers taking pictures of paintings and calling it a new work. Like
Oh
that.
yeah.
That's kind of closer to what AI models are actually doing.
Hmm.
But the reality is that they exist, and I don't
Hmm.
think that there's a mechanism that really restrains it in any kind of way. Like I'm pretty pessimistic about
Hmm.
technology slowing down in any kind of way. We've never had a technological revolution that's stopped.
Hmm. Oh, Mr. Wallenfrey has a interesting comment. I think copyright patents were a sentiment of our individuality, but I think AI is attempting to emphasize and direct us to a more unified hive mind humanity. Maybe you shouldn't kill the wasp. Maybe we need to learn a hive mind.
I'm gonna kill
Um,
the wasps.
and then in Carter Eyes, I would highly recommend taking a look at Ben Jordan here on YouTube and his videos on music and AI. Oh,
Yeah,
just
I've seen
recommendation.
some of the vids. They're pretty solid.
Oh,
The
nice.
the what chat's saying about AI directing us towards a hive mind and a more unified version of how we think about art and creativity
Hmm.
is actually what I think saves creativity. The
Because it's more the AI stuff is gonna seem more homogenous, and we bring in the heterogeneity.
like the beauty of being insta mid is that you can kind of catch up with the
Hmm.
baseline in any field.
Hmm.
The drawback of being insta mid is that everybody else can be insta mid at the same rate you can be.
Hmm.
And so, what we've seen the internet do in pretty much every creative field previously, like pre AI, is it accelerated the cycle time of people increasing the quality of their work
Hmm.
as a result of them reacting to people's ability to replicate, whether just like by copying the techniques, not via AI, but just like, oh, they filmed this short in like a cool way. Let me copy this like visual style.
Hmm.
Or like the spread of ideas happens so fast on the internet that you are always needing to make a new thing to genuinely stand out.
Hmm.
And so, in that kind of way, if everybody can make if everybody can make a realistic newscaster video of like CNN reporter reporting on something,
Hmm.
we very quickly get 1,000 of those video accounts out there, and then any individual one isn't really that interesting to watch. And so, the ones that are like the best at it, you know, if you're cynical, maybe the ones that were first at it end up being the ones that accrue value for that. And so the value of copying something or being a fast follower actually goes down in that
Hmm.
environment. Like another way of saying, like the death of media publishers on the internet is that the marginal value of reporting news that's already like broken is pretty low. And so just because you copy post or copy tweet somebody that like did an article, it doesn't actually mean you can build a sustainable like life or business on that. And so you're kind of forced to either find new news or like create something new.
So does that mean we need to be even more individualistic, actually?
Yes, absolutely. Like if everybody can be insta mid at a new art style, your only refuge is your unique lens on that art style.
Hmm.
That's not an easy answer because it doesn't answer any of the questions of like, oh, if everybody can, you know, make Studio Ghibli style art because the Studio Ghibli style art is in the model and anybody can do that, and you put all
Hmm.
the illustrators out of work that did that, like you lose something very important and magical in that process, which is the people that are dedicating their lives to make art like that.
Hmm.
And so I think we have a lot of questions to answer like right now about that, but the act of like being unique and new and creative, I don't think the market dynamics of existing online are that changed other than you got to like work faster and be more you.
What did you think of my hypothesis that boring is the new interesting? I've seen a friend post this as well. Uh,
Can you just say
because
more about it?
Yeah, because okay, let's just say you sent me that, TikTok with the VO3 of every virtual creator doing the extreme thing. So to me, to the most extreme of the extreme would be to go back to the most benign. And therefore, now we have an inversion where the most boring pedestrian thing becomes interesting. If people are not everybody's turning up the dial to 11.
I mean, I think that there is a logical flaw in there that the source of why people engage with something is a chemical, and it's a chemical being manipulated. Like a wild hook spurs. Actually, I don't know the exact, like, you would know better than me, but I'm assuming dopamine, or cortisol, one of those, like dopamine, serotonin, cortisol.
It's actually a mix of
Okay, cool.
yeah,
So
but dopamine is what people colloquially we would say mention that one most.
yeah, and so like the spectacle hook gets competed away so that the dopamine hit doesn't really hit. But that doesn't necessarily imply that the opposite of that then becomes the norm.
Why not?
Because the boring content isn't scratching the same itch as the dopamine loop. And so it's kind of saying
But I
like,
think what I'm saying is that this is known in neuroscience as well. Like the reason, like dopamine, these kind of let's call them reward pathways to be more
yep,
technically accurate. Reward pathways are activated through surprise. Actually, it's through
okay.
oftentimes. Well, there's both. There's no through like you're expecting something and something else happens and you are delighted by that. That's why like
So it's like
casino.
novelty.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a random output of whether you're gonna get the win or not, that's what causes the dopamine release. So by that definition, if you keep hitting the same memes over and over again or some extremities over and over again, your dopamine increase will actually eventually decay. So that's what I mean. It's like, oh, I don't think boring is gonna be the new interesting forever because it also doesn't work that way. It's some sort of like pendulum swing where you always have to arbitrage the latest thing and what's something that's different from that.
The I think I'll stand pretty firm in feet. Like what you're saying to me feels like everybody's taking left turns, so we're gonna take a right turn next. Like
I
I
feel like
don't.
I see that the logical flaw is that it refers back to the other essay we looked at, the David Chapman one.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking along the lines of what appeals to geeks.
I mean, what appeals to geeks is the capital T thing, and so like
Yeah.
there's nothing in there that implies it like a boring thing would be more engaging than a different
But it'll be a
extreme thing.
differentiated thing. It's a new thing.
Yeah, I mean, like my main issue is with the like characterization
So
of boring.
boring by itself, by this definition I'm using it, boring is interesting temporarily, which actually negates itself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would want to see examples in the wild of this actually happening. I think it's much
It's
more
called
like
meditation.
like I I broadly think that things that require more work, more effort, and more research to engage in meaningfully cannot compete with things that are zero effort, free rewards. I think
Mm.
you live in like a crazy hedonistic treadmill of like jumping from crazy spectacle about fire, crazy spectacle about bugs, crazy, like I think you jump from these different things and you live in this awful like Sisyphean, boulder of Mr. Beast intros for the rest of your life. But I don't think there's anything that meaningfully argues against that person other than like a revelation about how they hate their life being like making them change to something that requires more personal and intrinsic effort. That's pessimistic, but also the arc of history.
You think history of art is filled with what was easily accessible the whole time?
I
I
think
think the
the
whole point
history.
of art is that there is a little bit of work involved
I think the
in
history of consumers
theater,
of art for sure.
like mass consumers. We're
Yeah,
back to the
most
whole
people.
mops situation.
Yeah, like people that feel a drive to create things, they are operating in a different world, and they have always operated in a different world than people that consume things. Like obviously, there's a mix between those two, but like for most people, I don't think doing more work is appealing and will never be appealing.
So isn't that back to eating the baby worm? that you were alluding to earlier.
Yes. I've said before, nobody cares about great truths that are pre-chewed and spit into your mouth like a baby bird, but most people don't care about great truths.
Okay, so what do we do? Drink your Huel protein drink.
Not sponsored, but I haven't found a better no effort shake.
Mm-hmm.
There is a real part of me that thinks the economy that exists today doesn't work in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some smart people that argue that if you don't accrue any kind of wealth in the next 5 years, you're kind of going to be stuck in whatever class you're in for forever. I'm not as pessimistic as that, but I do think that the arc of the U.S. has like a dual wealth inequality and suppression of populism via channeling it to things that are not beneficial to the actual populist thinking, that feels really hard to overcome given the techno dystopia that we're just kind of in right now. I think that kind of means for individuals, you got to find causes that you care about, whether that's like hyper local, whether it's like in your like work, but not like work as in, work for like being a cog in a capitalism machine, like work as in the things that are meaningful to you in your day-to-day life. For me, it's writing poems, writing music, things like that. Building apps too, I consider part of my like actual soul work, depending on what thing that is. I think optimizing for that and trying to live as happy and fulfilling a life as you can is the only answer.
I think, but hopefully, folks in the chat are kind of already doing that, right? So I think one of your questions was like, if we're not, it was refusing to use AI in your work an act of rebellion or self-sabotage. Like, do you think we should use AI and to turn it to the next level by using it in a way no one else has thought of before?
I genuinely think of AI as a really messed up pencil.
Oh, not a really good pencil?
No, like really morally screwy pencil.
Oh, okay.
I fully understand the rational argument structure of why using AI tools is unethical.
Mm-hmm.
I also fully understand that living ethically within capitalism might be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Or any kind of societal structure, because societal structures exist at odds with the value and soul of the individual that they're part of. Like societies perpetuate themselves at the expense of people. People get some benefits in return, but there are restrictions on your personal freedoms that you have as well on that.
Yeah. So at the conference I was at, I was staying with a bunch of awesome housemates, and one of them is like, abbreviation like Techno Doom, like in 2020 AI 2027. We don't have much time left. Like society's gonna collapse. And then the other friend is going, but I think AI will solve its own problems because if it improves in intelligence, it can negate its like the problems it causes.
There is no reason to think the problems AI, if it is like a generalized intelligence, there's no reason to think that the problems AI decides are worth solving benefit humans.
Yeah, that was what the more pessimistic friends say. Like, yeah, but it's not gonna be aligned with the human incentive.
Yeah, like I don't think AI has personhood. I think at some day in the future there might be a credible argument for it. I also kind of like coming from
you actually think there could be a credible argument for it? I thought you were all like, I'm shooting Terminators.
I was in the army. I went through the mental Jenga of justifying shooting people. So like let me cook. I think there maybe exists a world where AI gets whatever definition of personhood we find like meaningful in that moment, and the logical conclusion is that we need to kill it.
Oh. Okay.
Like maybe there's a scenario where that happens and it actually unites humanity. I'm not optimistic about it, but I do think an external threat is the only thing that could unite humanity in kind of like the global landmine of culture and religious conflict.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, let's continue to waste water.
Well, okay, so let me rant about that for a second. I don't think that we save the planet. I think the only meaningful way that we engage with Earth as a biome that is self-sustaining is if we leave Earth and make it a national park.
Oh, yeah, there's a great book / game called Half Earth Socialism based on this concept.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, check out the game. It's actually really fun to play. But it's a one-person board game based on the concept of the book. It doesn't, force you into the make Earth a national park scenario. It actually has also like, Elon Musk space elevator scenarios that win conditions, but with trade-offs, like the goodbye planet. So yeah, I think we should explore that.
Interesting. I'm a
hmm
big fan of the Terraforming Mars board game. You ever played that?
I know of it. It seems kind of long. Speaking of
It
short
is very
attention
long.
spans, yeah.
It is pretty long.
Are you good at it?
I mean, I don't play board games enough to be good at
You're
them,
good at it.
but I enjoy them. I
Wow.
can I ask
Yeah.
what are we actually outsourcing when we use AI?
I mean, I hope I'm outsourcing the boring, grunty stuff, right? Or at
The
least like
art?
sometimes a lot of my use of AI has to do with memory and summarization. I think a lot of times like I have trouble recalling things, so I really use it a lot as a reference search sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then also like when I ramble, it helps me find out my own key points. So I often use it as a distiller tool for myself. How about you?
Well, can I ask, has it made you better at distilling things?
No, because I feel like the more you use it, the more you lose that muscle. But you and I have talked about privately how how it's like, well, desperation.
So I'm torn because I don't know. I think that you are selling yourself a little short in that I think you are, better than when we first started talking about distilling some of the things that not that you were like terrible. And so like I think that like
Oh,
AI
that's true.
tools, like because you're
Yes, but not
practicing
quite
doing the
true.
thing.
Yeah, but I think what's actually happening is like, sure, I use AI to summarize, and then like I memorize it, rememorize it again, and because like it just gets me more practice rounds, like more shots on goal, because I have this little machine gun situation.
Yeah. Like I think that we treat AI without the counterfactual of, okay, I use this 3 times a week to distill kind of a brain dump of thoughts in the same way that people like brain dump into voice notes.
Yeah.
If you do that 3 times a week, without it, would you have done it once a week, doing it by yourself fully? Maybe, maybe not.
Exactly.
And so like the 3 times a week of using it to practice in like a specific way, arguably the way that makes more sense for the modern world can and does make you better in the same way that being intentional about practice makes you better about other things. And so
hmm
like that's the core tension for me, where a lot of the things that I use, like I spent a big chunk of time yesterday fleshing out a potential startup / like indie hacker software project.
Oh.
Basically, like we're not going to talk about it yet. We're teasing it.
hmm
Um, but I went through all of these different angles of this project that I have previously done without using AI tools, but I'm effectively applying business, startup, best practice frameworks on how you think about like, is an idea worth your time? Is it good? Does it solve a meaningful problem? What is a right scoped MVP for it? And all of the stuff that it said I could have done and I have done, and I've like argued with you, a
hmm
little bit, but I used conversations with people to suss that out previously, and with AI tools, I can run through the same frameworks that I would have probably half-assed by myself because it's kind of a pain to write all that stuff out. And so what it lets me do is it leapfrogs all of the beginning baseline work where I can kind of read the mid arguments about it and then
Mhm.
argue with those.
Mhm.
And that is actually like really useful for me because you're not always available for me to just argue with.
I like how that's the conclusion. Um, yeah, I didn't know that you did all that back and forth. I thought you were just using it to generate screenshots. So that's really good to know.
No, I like
Um,
I was like hacking away
right.
at it. The interesting.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that uh, it was a typical thing where you pitched the idea and I went, "Ugh, that's a terrible idea."
That's how half our conversations go, chat. Kristen rejects
I'll
all
say
of my
that,
new
I'm like, "Oh,
ideas.
yeah, that's a great idea," but no, I'm the worst. I'm just like, "No, it's terrible." But then, like, eventually I'll come back around and be like, "Yeah, maybe that is a great idea." And then I'll be like, "Oh, yeah," I'll co-opt the idea, be like, "Oh, yeah, this is a great idea," and somehow I thought of it.
Which is
So,
fine. That's how ideas
yeah, yeah.
spread.
Yes, but it was definitely it's a very unusual idea. It's not the obvious like, "Oh, yeah, this should exist." It's like, "Oh, there might be a moat," because the gut reaction would be like, "This is a terrible idea." It needs like it's like so jarring that it might be a new primitive.
I hope it's like Airbnb where they got laughed out of investor offices because they're like, there's no way people are going to let people stay in their house. I
Yeah,
hope it's like
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
But we'll see. The the last thing that I want to ask you, Kristen,
Mhm.
is I used AI to generate some questions because I wanted to see what it would come up with, and I thought that this question was one that I wouldn't have thought of myself, which is why I
Mhm.
think it's interesting.
Ah.
With these tools or with these pieces of software, do you think we're building a tool or a mirror?
Oh, when I saw that question, I was like, "Isn't that a false dichotomy though? Like, why not both?"
I mean, yeah,
Like
that's
in
how
all
all
of
these
trust.
questions are. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a question designed to make you think about a duality.
Mhm. Uh, I think maybe the best tool is a mirror. Like clearly that's the one I use the most, right?
We say that again.
Oh, the best tool is oftentimes a mirror.
I have never used a mirror to screw in a light bulb.
But you've used it to I don't even actually know. Do you use it to shave your face? Like
Yeah.
thing. So if I'm trying to reflect, like literally, wouldn't a mirror be the best tool?
Yeah, but that wasn't the question.
Um, but I feel like these false dichotomy questions are my least favorite.
Yeah, because there is no answer. And you are very like,
I'm a literalist.
yeah. The literalist hates this kind of thing because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
can't
yeah.
be right, and the argument is just word cell, dancing around.
Yeah, yeah. But why do you love it so much?
Because I call AI a tool, but in the same way that the medium shapes the message that you put out, the tool that you use shapes how you think about a thing.
Mm.
We talked about AI making everybody insta-mid. Everybody can kind of make the same thing in a space very, very easily.
Mhm.
And as a result, you kind of have to put more of yourself into this thing in
Mhm.
order to make it kind of useful, or come in surgically with like it in the spot where it's going to like actually help you, as opposed to using it as like the foundation for what you're doing. And so if it is more useful, like if it's a mirror, then it kind of ends up bringing the good and bad that you have in you to the
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
And so, like, I don't know. I feel like we're building a mirror in the literal sense of we're using a training data, which is a reflection of humanity, at least for now. And the like reality of that mirror is that it might be a very, very useful tool, but
Mhm.
in the same way, it changes how we actually are because being reflected back at ourselves so many times might not be good for us.
Oh, I agree. And I feel like the analogy I'm thinking of is closer to like, you know how if you use a hammer over and over, it fits the shape of your hand
Yeah.
because you're wearing it that way. Like that's what I think AI, like the ideal case of AI is. Like it should fit into your unique shape
Okay.
and like help you emphasize and hone that. And I feel like the mirror analogy is dangerous because like you can be a like literal narcissist and stare at the mirror the entire time and
Mhm.
not be able to get out.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what that Rolling Stone article was about.
Yeah, and not actually see yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the infinity like mirror, the like
Fun
the
house
table
mirror
things.
maze.
Yeah, yeah,
I do
exactly.
think a lot of people are in the process of getting trapped in a mirror maze.
Yeah. So, yeah, and in terms of that's what I care about is that we don't get trapped in these infinite mirror mazes. And
Fascinating.
that's
I
where
don't
our
think I care about that much.
because you're not susceptible to it. Because you think you're just Terminator. Like there's a whole situation where I feel you are especially immune. So,
Hmm. Maybe with that. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll chew on that, and we'll see you next week at 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8